Season 1 has officially started, and with that we have access to the Holger 26 LMG. One of the more interesting traits of this weapon is that it can actually be converted into a G36C that many people have been asking for. Before we get into that, let's take a look at what the Holger 26 offers as an LMG, and please note that a lot of these values are tested by hand on 60 FPS, so of course there may be margin for error. So this actually does not have any 3-shot kill range outside of getting headshots, and that takes 2 headshots and 1 body shot to reduce it to a 3-shot kill. This is interesting because all prior LMGs have a 3-shot kill range without needing headshots. To add to this, the aim down sight speed on the Holger without any attachments seems to be around 433 to 450 milliseconds. I have retested this to see if I made a mistake, and it is accurate. This was actually one of the easier weapons to test as well because the idle animation seems to be almost non-existent. So as soon as I start to aim, the gun starts moving in. Some people have tested aim down sight speed from the moment the hipfire crosshairs start to contract, but that is inaccurate because that's not the moment that a player has pressed the button. Other weapons just have a lot of wobbly animation, so it's hard to tell what's aiming or animation for a few frames. This ADS speed seems to be very close, if not identical, to the MG34. I thought there would be some sort of leeway given to aim down sight speed given its lower damage than every other LMG, however that doesn't seem to be the case. In terms of rate of fire, it's also slower than the MG34 at around 750 rounds per minute. So far, it doesn't look very good in terms of being competitive against other LMGs. Pretty much any other LMG would win in a 1v1 gunfight. The last thing I wanted to take a look at before checking out the G36 variant was movement speed. This is the last thing I wanted to check in comparison to the other LMGs, and it seems to share speed with the SA87, which is the fastest LMG, so these two are tied in regards to that. This is still on the overall slow side, but fast in terms of LMGs. Now let's actually get into what makes this transform into a G36C. You'll want to equip the Spitfire barrel, stippled grip, and 30-round mag. This essentially turns it into an assault rifle. Another interesting thing to note here is that the barrel, not the 30-round magazine, is reducing your effective damage range. This makes sense from a practical point of view, but the barrel itself does not indicate that it's reducing damage range, only bullet velocity. Attachments that reduce or increase damage range very clearly label it that way. The two are separate stat values, sometimes both listed on a single attachment, so I'm confused why the reduced range was left off this barrel, and does the stat actually affect all barrels? I'll leave that for another time. Now, equipping the 30-round mags alone increases aim down sight speed to 350 milliseconds. I'm not up to date on what every single ADS speed is for assault rifles, but the base M4 is around 250 milliseconds, so this is on the slow side. If you equip all 3 attachments I have suggested to make the G36C, you will end up with an ADS speed of about 300 milliseconds. Even if you equip all of the aim down sight attachments you end up just matching the base M4 at 250 milliseconds. Also, it does not matter if you select the XRK stock instead of the stippled grip for the 3 attachments I have mentioned. Both of them will reduce your ADS time down to 300 milliseconds. The stippled grip just has the added benefit of increasing sprint to fire speed. You can use both as well, but I personally like to save a slot for a sight and maybe one for a suppressor. So my recommended G36 configuration is the Spitfire barrel, stippled grip, and 30-round mags. I also forgot to mention movement speed when using those 3 attachments. You will gain an increase of around 4.4%, which might not sound significant, but it brings you up to match the MP5 in base speed. The only 3 primary weapons faster than that are the Uzi, MP7, and Origin 12 shotgun. This is some serious movement speed for an assault rifle. I just wish we could reduce the ADS time a little bit more. Now finally, I'll tell you what my preferred setup is for the Holger 26. I don't actually like to use the 30-round magazine, so it's technically not a G36 I'm going with. I go with the Spitfire, integral reflex sight, XRK Axis stock, stippled grip tape, and FMJ. I find that the 30-round magazine is a significant downgrade for this weapon, and it's not really worth it in this game. Running and gunning doesn't work the way it has in past Call of Duty games, so I'd rather take the larger mag with more ammo. At the end of the day, the Holger 26 is a subpar light machine gun or a slow-to-action assault rifle. Its damage seems to be close to that of the Kilo 141 or M4, with a slower aim-down sight speed and slower rate of fire. You can still do well with this weapon, but you'd be better off with a lot of different weapons as well. It has all of the weaknesses of an LMG and assault rifle together, slow and clunky with low damage compared to its respective categories. I have been outgunned across the map to the AUG a few times and generally feel like I'm at a disadvantage in most gunfights. This gun just does not perform well in my experience, and the stats that I have discovered during testing seems to prove that feeling. Now, just because I can get 51 to 10 gameplay doesn't mean it's good. It means I would have probably done better or had an easier time with something like an M4 or even the Ram 7, the second free weapon with this update, because that one actually has some meat on its bones. I hope you enjoyed the video and found this information useful. A like and subscribe is always appreciated. Hit that bell icon so you get notified when my videos go live, and I'll see you next time.